So this is my son Thomas. I'm Elisa. He is 10 years old and was diagnosed with PANDAS when he was 5. He had 2 really horrible strep diagnoses and with really high fevers. We went to the doctors and they put him on antibiotics and we thought it was cleared up, and then it came back with a vengeance. He had already had his tonsils removed at the age of 3. So he had no tonsils. We went on our next round of stronger antibiotics and it cleared it up. And then about maybe 4 weeks later, we noticed he woke up and he was a totally different kid. He had to urinate frequently. He was angry and mean. He was doing weird tics. His food changed, his whole entire diet. He wouldn't eat stuff. And he wasn't my son. He was a whole new kid. We had no clue who he was. What happened? Oh, and he gets really big bags under his eyes. Huge bags under his eyes. And then his eyes also dilate when he's in the middle of like a rage. So we noticed all these weird things. The urination was the big one. He would go to the bathroom every minute if he could, and anytime he was nervous or we were leaving the house, he would go to the bathroom. So we go over to the pediatrician and I said, I think my son is autistic overnight or something, because he was showing a lot of autistic tendencies. And I'm like, I don't even know if this can happen that way. And he wasn't sure himself, so he sent us for a full round of blood work because he could definitely see a difference. He had been his pediatrician since birth. So we went to do all the blood work, and getting blood from him was horrible. I think we went back 3 times before we were able to get it. We had to hold him down. He was scared. He had never been scared before because they do routine blood work and checkups here and there. It was insane. We got the blood work. In between that time, I started researching, of course, Googling everything and, checking everything and researching. And a lady at his school, when I went over his symptoms, he was in kindergarten. When I said he had frequent urination, she pulled me aside and she said, you need to look at PANDAS. And I was like, huh? And she's like, everything you're telling me, my niece has it. She's like, you need to go back and you need to research PANDAS. And came home, pulled it up, and I'm like, this is what he has. This is everything. He was writing really well in kindergarten and all of his handwriting disappeared. He couldn't write anymore. It was crazy. That fell under the category, the frequent urination, the aggression, the rages, the food sensitivity, the tics, everything fell under it. So we went back to review the blood work and he told me everything looked fine. And I said, what, have you ever heard of PANDAS? A lot of doctors I told, aren't for it, but he fits all the symptoms. He said, I want to send him for, they went and tested his strep tears. And in that time, we scheduled an appointment with the immunologist. And right away, she diagnosed him with PANDAS. She wouldn't give him the PANDAS diagnosis because his strep tears were very elevated, but they were not elevated high enough. But this was about 4 months after our flare-up, and I wish we would have got tested right then and there when we were having our big flare-up, because then I think she would have seen his strep tears higher. I think they were brought down because we had already treated with some medications and we had already tried different things because we knew something was going on. So we go into flares, and when we go into flares, it's usually because somebody in the house or somebody around him, even in class or school or football or whatever he's doing, somebody's getting sick. He can usually tell us that one of us is going to be sick anywhere from a day or 2 before, because he begins to flare. His body takes our common cold and turns it even worse for him. And then he starts with his tics, he starts with his food sensitivity, migraines. He gets really bad migraines. The bags under his eyes come out. Usually when he wakes up in the morning, Chris and I will look at each other and just be like, uh-oh, he has the bags under his eyes, and we know what's coming for the rest of the day. So there is no test for PANDAS or PANDAS. but they can test their strep tears. And when your strep tears are elevated, along with all the symptoms that the children have, you get the diagnosis of PANS and PANDAS because it doesn't add up to anything else. So his strep tears were raised enough that he was diagnosed with PANS, but he wasn't diagnosed with PANDAS because they weren't high enough. PANS can come from any type of immune problem attacking your body, where PANDAS comes from strep throat. I know in my heart his came from strep throat attacking his brain. It was not, he had no other infection. It was 100% strep throat.
Normally I get really angry and I'll just like, I'll try to like beat up anything I see. Like if I see a pillow, then I'll just start throwing it around and I'll like beat it up. Until I get so tired that I just lay down and I'll watch videos for the rest of the day until it's dinner time and I just don't eat. And once it's like 10 o'clock at night, I'll come out and I'll have like a bowl of cereal and I'll go back in my room and I'll just pass out.
So he'll go into rages, where the stupidest thing will set him off. We could be talking about tomorrow's schedule and you know, it's all right, you're gonna come home, you're gonna do your homework, and then
You're gonna study.
Yeah, and then you have to study, and he'll be like, well, I don't wanna study, and and normally he'll study, but that day, because his mind's just not right, it'll set him off, and he will rage out, he'll be angry, he'll be aggressive, he's put holes in the wall before.
I had butted the wall once.
Yeah, he had butted the wall and put a hole through the wall. He will yell and scream things. He wants to kill himself. He wishes I would die. Why do I let him live? Is it worth him living? But it's not him. He is. You can see it in his face, and it'll take me a good hour. I've had to go into the room and stay with him as he screamed the most horrible things you could ever imagine.
Tell me what would you like to see happen? Like,
With your pants, what would you like to
No more migraines.
do? No more migraines. What else?
No more migraines and no more rages.
No more migraines and no more rages.
That's it. It'll change me a lot because if I don't have a migraine, then I can actually like go to my friend's house if I
I knew
want
that's what you were
to,
gonna say.
or I can go to like gym, or I can go to the park with my friend and actually have kids like yell. Because if they start yelling sometimes, then I've got to like leave because my head starts to.
And he gets overstimulated. So, as a parent, you have to do your research on your own. You have to push these doctors, check your child's diet, see what you can take in and out of their diet, what works, what doesn't work. And you as the parent need to start pushing to figure out what can you do. Is there a natural way? Is there another medication? Is there another doctor we can go see? Is there another specialist? There's always a way, so don't give up.